Okay, so I want to quickly talk about getting your medical records after your baby has suffered an HIE injury. There's three big areas that you want to really concern yourself with. And when you're getting these records from the hospital, in most instances, you are going to have to get your records. You're going to have to make a request in writing to the hospital. And when they send you the records, you're going to want to make sure that you specifically get records for mom. You want to make sure you get mom's records from the hospital, and you want to make sure that you get baby's records. Now, this is where it can get a little tricky. You also want to make sure that you get the readings from the fetal heart monitor, the electronic fetal heart strips. Sometimes those strips can be sent individually, or they can be sent as a set-aside, or sometimes they can be also embedded in with mom's records. So you just want to make sure that you get those records. You want to make sure that when you get your packet of records that those strips are included in there. Now, also when you're getting and you're requesting these records, there's also other records that you're going to want to make sure that when you are going through and you're reviewing everything, you're going to want to make sure that specifically that if there was any head imaging done, like if you know that your baby had an ultrasound done, or there was a MRI that was done, or a couple of MRIs that were done, or a couple of ultrasounds that were done, you're going to want to make sure that those reports are included in your records. All right, so you want to make sure that those reports are there. And sometimes you may have to, if you know that an MRI was done, or you know that an ultrasound was done, and you're going through the records and you do not see those, sometimes you may have to reach out specifically to the radiology or imaging department specifically and get those records from there. But you just want to make sure that those are also included when you are getting these records for your baby. In addition, I mean, if you really want to go, you really want to go all out, if there were any suspected issues with the placenta, you want to also request that report from the placental pathologist, especially if there was a suspected brain injury or there were other challenges that were going on during labor and delivery. Sometimes it's a good idea, if a placental pathology was performed, that you get those records also. You get that report from the placental pathology. And before I get out of here too, and I forget, you also want to make sure that as you're going through these records too, that the readings, if they did cord gas readings, umbilical cord gas readings, you want to make sure that those are also included in your record. So if you don't have those, you want to make sure that you get those too. Now, there's a couple of reasons why you may want to get these records. And I know the sun is, because I turned the corner, so now the sun is out. So I got to hold it kind of down. But anyway, you may want to get these records because you may want to get a second opinion. You may want to have another medical or other medical professionals give you an opinion as to what's going on with your child. And if you have access to these records, that could be extremely, extremely important for those medical professionals to kind of get a jump on looking at everything for you. Also, too, and this is something that you may not be thinking about right now, but if you decide to have a birth injury attorney like myself to get involved or to take a look at some things for you, to do a birth injury investigation, having some of those records to just quickly be able to send over, that can also be helpful. But regardless, if you are concerned about your baby's HIE injury and what may have caused it, and you want to get these records, this can go a long ways in helping you to do that. Oh, and one more thing before I forget. When you make these requests for these records, be sure that you do it and you request electronic copies of these records, okay? So you want these records either on a disc, or you want them on a thumb drive or some type of transferable drive. Also, even accessing a portal is okay. But even if you have access in the portal, see if there is still a way that you can be able to download or put them on disk. Because if you request these records in paper form, this can be extremely expensive, and depending on what state you're in, each state may have different requirements or different rules as to how much these records can cost per page. So if they're printing out pages of paper for you, that can get expensive really, really fast. All right, I hope this helps. Take care.